I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. Is there any need to, I guess I'll first ask for.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 2nd meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve minutes as presented. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Consideration of the agenda needs to change.
Individual from the fair board called and said that their schedule was such that they couldn't be here today, so they won't be coming.
Okay.
That's the only thing I have.
We won't need to amend it
No.
to exclude them. Anything else?
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Alright.
Aye. Motion carries. Go ahead and start with you. Are you expecting anyone else today, or?
No, just
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
Casa, yeah.
If you'd come forward, please.
I'm Jenny with Casa, and I am here in lieu of my director, Jackie, who we made arrangements for myself to travel today. Not sure how the weather would be as she drives from the Spencer area. So, is it okay if I sit here?
Sure.
Is
Yes,
it- okay. All right. And do you need any other copies, or is anybody missing that you would need?
Can I have your last name?
Yes, it's Allers, AHLERS.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, my name is Jenny. I'm a sexual abuse advocate with CASA. I've been with our organization for about 8 years, and we've been here in Sac County and actually have an office space in the basement of the annex building and still providing all of our ongoing services. Since last year, there's been a change with regionalization, as I'm sure you've heard from a lot of other organizations, where we are actually the sole provider of sexual abuse services for a 19 county area, so Region 1. The state has kind of put things into regions. So we are solely providing sexual abuse services to all 19 counties, including Sac County, and I'm the advocate here in this area. We are still working with our sister agencies, family crisis centers, to provide domestic violence services, and we still share the basements, the same office in the basement, and then we collaborate as far as shelter services as well. And so Region 1 is fully encompassed in providing all of those services. It's primarily the same advocates. The change would be is that CASA is now just kind of that lead for the sexual abuse services in the 19 county area. I know.
Region 1 being pretty much northwest Iowa.
Yes, yes, and all of the counties are actually listed here on your
Right.
cover letter as well, provided by the director. So I could name them all, but I probably
that's
would
okay.
forget a couple. So, but again, providing the same services. In the last fiscal year, we served 609 new clients, and what that means is clients who we had never provided any type of services to before. So we had never provided any counseling or emergency intervention services with those clients. And that would be sexual abuse services within that 19 county area. So prior, when we had come and presented, so last year we would have been providing both the domestic violence and sexual abuse services and had about 30-something clients. So the change would be is these are primarily sexual abuse services. We're still in the schools. I've been in all of actually Sac County schools, elementary schools, and doing our sexual abuse prevention programs. And so I did. I've done all of those schools in the last couple of months. And so we're still providing those services in the schools, seeing clients ongoing, both in the office, that's in the annex, and then also outside of the office in different smaller towns within Sac County. Lakeview, we can use the basement, going into a lot of the schools and seeing kids who have been affected by sexual abuse in some way or another. And today, just here in lieu of my director, again, just requesting funding for the next fiscal year to help provide those ongoing services. Everything we do is free and it is confidential, so we'd like to continue to provide the same quality of services that we have been providing in Sac County. And I'm open to any questions and will answer as many as I can. And if there's anything I can't answer, I'll get that to my director to be able to get back in touch with you as well. Like I said, I believe she included a projected budget and said she could answer any questions on those as well.
Oh, I see.
Is this the same contribution as last year?
I believe it is the same contribution as what she has been asked, is what she was asking for, yes. I guess if I can kind of bring to your attention a service that we're actually collaborating within the county as a SART team, a sexual assault response team, in which CASA, so myself as the advocate, and all local law enforcement, the county attorney's office and the hospital, we are in the process of the policies and protocols right now to have a SART team. So when there's a sexual assault, it's an immediate team that is activated to respond to wherever that sexual assault occurred. So whether it be to the law enforcement center, the hospital, to the CASA office, and that's something we're collaborating with all of our agencies here, and our law enforcement, county attorney's office, and hospital and schools here within Sac County. So that's a new development that should be finished up with our policies and protocols here really soon, and then we'll be hosting, of course, an open house and getting a brochure and sharing more information with Sac County as well.
Did you already mention how many you had served in the region and I missed it?
We served, as far as, I'm not sure about Sac County. For last year, I certainly can get that number to you, but within the region, it was 609 new clients. Currently, I'm serving about 16 clients in Sac County,
Oh, yeah.
and that's myself.
What's the normal length of service that you provide?
You know, it really varies on the client. It depends if they're looking for just that emergency intervention or if they're looking at ongoing services. I would say on average, 6 months to a year for someone who's been sexually assaulted, just to provide those ongoing counseling services, typically bi-weekly, weekly at first, and then moving into bi-weekly. The other thing is if there's any type of criminal court involvement or DHS, we know that those cases and the court system moves slowly sometimes, so that process, that advocacy would probably may go even longer than that. It depends on like when trial is or depositions or any hearings. So sometimes that can extend the length of services, meaning the advocacy piece of that.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
How many people are on your staff?
We have, within the 19 count, within Sac County we have 4. It would be a bilingual domestic abuse advocate with FCC and English-speaking domestic abuse advocate with FCC, so our sister agency, and then myself and a bilingual sexual abuse advocate, as well as our prevention education coordinator, who does adult trainings for sexual abuse prevention for adults. So how to recognize sexual abuse, warning signs, what to do if someone discloses to you, and she's provided a lot of those trainings in this area. So locally in Sac County then, it would be 5 staff that serve clientele,
But they're
3 of them
shared with
being
other-
sexual
They're
abuse.
shared with other counties, right?
Correct, yes. Like
So I
my
guess in total, with all the 19 counties, how many employees?
we just merged with FCC and CSADV and did some more hiring. Hold on just a moment. We've got, on average, it's 2, it'd be a bilingual sexual abuse advocate and an English-speaking sexual abuse advocate per county, as well as our prevention education outreach coordinator. So 3 per county. So I guess.
So are
if I
they
did that-
part-time positions?
we're all full-time.
Just under 60.
We
60?
are
No?
for the 19 counties. Some of the regions with the larger counties, and I apologize because I'm not as familiar with, this is new as well, the merger is new, with some of the larger counties as they have 1 advocate per county. So for example, in the Sioux City region, that's a fairly large region, so that advocate would cover that area. But I can get the exact number of advocates and have her email you as well. But like myself, I'm full-time and I cover 3 counties, Pocahontas, Sac, and Buena Vista. I'm in Pocahontas a day, Sac a day, Buena Vista the other 3 days, but of course, come when needed, so.
The full-time employees would get health insurance?
We do not have health insurance offered through the agency.
I see. Well, I was just looking at the budget and the program staff, 525,000, or 525,000. And there's a health insurance line for 39,000.
I'm not sure how that
Somebody's
is
getting,
offered.
some of the staff, are-
Correct, now,
administration possibly.
that could be.
Okay.
The other thing is, again, this is a fairly new merger with
Yeah,
FCC and CSADV, so the other 2 sister agencies, where their staff are now working under CASA as sexual abuse advocates, but we're employed through FCC and CSADV, so some of those benefits probably had to come over with them as well. But I myself, the original 9 counties that we had,
Okay.
Up until recently, that was not the case, so
So then with this new policy, they're gonna be paying a fine not to provide it.
they're gonna be what?
Paying a fine not to provide
I don't know, I'm not,
it. No, and that's okay.
So what are those other two agencies that you merged with?
Family Crisis Centers and
Okay.
CSADV, the Centers for Sexual Abuse and Domestic Violence, is our shelter, the
Okay.
shelter piece of it.
Okay,
CASA, we used to have a shelter. We no longer have that shelter. So our clients that we serve, if they are in immediate danger, we transport them to the shelter. And in Region 1, the shelter is in Sioux City. And again, that's from the state down, the regionalization, and they had to pick basically pick a location per region for the shelter services. So there's transitional housing available in Sioux Center for our clients, and then the shelter in Sioux City. However, if we're working with somebody and we see this where maybe they are working here and their kids are going to school here and they don't want to go to shelter in Sioux City, if it's an imminent danger situation, we will get them in a local hotel until they can get to, with family or friends or somewhere else that is safe. And I just provided that service last week actually when I was on call. So not everybody has to go to shelter if they're in imminent danger. We still provide those local options as well. But if it's going to be a long-term type of stay, then we really do have to offer the shelter services.
Any questions? Any other questions?
No.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
presentation.
Yes, thank
and your
you.
effort.
And I'm sorry I wasn't quite sure on the budget
No,
things
that's all
because I
right.
don't
That's
do the
all right.
budget. So, but Jackie has put all of her contact information on here, so you can feel free to give her a call or email her if you have any questions. So,
Okay.
thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
all your support.
You bet.
You as well.
Do you need a motion to approve this funding for another year?
Do we
most of what we do is,
take them in and
take
then-
them into consideration and we put the budget together with that amount that they requested and then
Sure.
It's a
if something doesn't work, then we
budget
Sounds good.
adjust.
We take a minute to look at the claim sheet. Jim, I haven't asked you recently, has our service from Prairie INET been better recently? I guess I haven't heard any complaints about being down.
I guess we haven't had any downtime on it as far as that goes. Is it better than it's ever been? I don't know. But we haven't had any interruptions.
Okay.
I shouldn't say any. We haven't had any major interruptions.
Actually got a flyer in the mail from them last week.
Oh,
Yeah, just looking for business.
Oh, really?
Hadn't heard anything out of them in years.
somebody said that Evertech was putting up a tower in Early. Near that was Paulina or Primgar or someplace like that.
I know, I just talked to a rural resident had signed up with HughesNet. That's a dish type deal, which I had heard of them before, but not so much locally, but evidently they're moving in as well.
That Calhoun and Burns, is that, I have to ask Ron, if that's for bridge inspection or follow-up on that bridge down west of Walnut?
How much was it? I haven't gotten there yet.
3,514. Hey, Jim, is there a January supervisor meeting?
It's in February or March,
No,
that statewide supervisor meeting?
no, yeah, I mean, they usually have one in January,
Yeah,
then,
they moved
before
it.
the spring. They don't have that anymore?
I think it's,
You know which one I'm talking about, Rick?
I know they pushed
had
it
it.
farther into the spring, it may be in conjunction with the fall
Okay.
school now, I'm not sure.
In Ankeny there on the
Yeah.
edge.
Renell, you went to one, it was up in Johnston.
Johnston.
first
There's
year.
a,
One year, well, or Ankeny.
Ankeny,
It's
yeah.
been in Ankeny and Johnston.
there's a new officer school at Prairie Meadows. I don't know if it's in conjunction with that or not.
Yeah.
You, don't
That's-
they usually have that in January?
Yeah.
The new officer school.
They're really promoting that convention center out there at Prairie Meadows. They built on, you know, that hotel
really?
and they've got some fantastic meeting rooms out there.
You know, the convention center in downtown Des Moines on 6th or whatever, they bought that, they turned it into a YMCA.
Is that where that is?
You know, where we used to go to a lot
Yeah.
of our meetings, winter and,
And-
the city of Des Moines bought it, and I was reading an article about projects in Des Moines, and they're short of fund, they're 6 million short of putting an Olympic-sized swimming pool in there. They hope to have that whole thing is a YMCA for downtown, you know, kind of for downtown. Des
When
Moines.
we were down there in November, we walked past that from the Marriott to the Vets Auditorium and you could see them work. I didn't know what was going in there, but that'd be nice.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out what to do with the old YMCA. It's right on the river.
I'll make a motion to pay claims of $346,840.37.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded to pay claims. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
This is the sheriff's quarterly report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2015.
I'll make a motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the sheriff's quarterly report. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
We've had a request from the Chronicle and the Sac Sun for designation as official county newspapers for the Sac County for 2015. By law, we're still required to have two.
I'll make a motion to designate the Chronicle and who was the other one?
Second.
Saxon as official newspapers for 2015.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to make those designations. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. last piece.
Medical examiner appointment. I haven't had any contact with our current one. It's something that we have to do. You don't need to act on it today if you wanna think about it or contact him or, I can even tell if he's in town.
It's still Dr. Hubert?
Yeah.
If he goes somewhere in the winter now.
He has been going to Texas, I think,
I think.
but I don't know if he's here.
We, I guess I'd like to table that for the time being until we
Okay.
find out whether he's
Interested in
Interested, yeah.
continuing. I know he's getting older.
Motion to table?
Also move.
I'll second
It's
it.
been moved and seconded to a table that appointment. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Any further business?
I just have one little item that, it doesn't take any board action, but I wanted to tell you what we're doing here as far as the payroll clerk and I, we've had some discussions about this long-term disability insurance. In the past, it's been billed and paid in a lump sum from the county to, well, right now we're using Lincoln Financial. We think, and the auditors agree with us, that this should be shown as a benefit in the payroll of each department. So it's not a huge amount, but it's gonna take a little bit of adjustment. This is basically what it's gonna, the amounts are gonna look like. So those are gonna have to be adjusted according to everyone's budget as they come through.
Are the departments aware of that?
No, this is something that we just got figured out yesterday, and we'll bring it to their attention as they come for their budget workshops. And then that amount will be adjusted according to salary increases for the following 2015.
That's how,
That's what it's based on.
that's what I was gonna ask. Okay.
And it kind of gives the employee a little better understanding of what's provided for them as opposed to just what's being taken out of their check. And they don't, the employees don't pay anything towards this long-term disability. This is just part of the benefits package. So we'll just, as they come in for their workshop, we'll just walk them through it.
That's fine.
So,
We will go into recess till the engineer arrives. Alright, thank you, sir. See ya.
You're on.
Good morning.
morning.
Thanks, sir.
Fairly short report today. Crews are out sanding, plowing paved roads and gravels as needed. Continue to do the inventory on the culvert pipe, surfacing equipment, cleaning and organizing shops. No project status. Shared engineer update. Board needs to review the interview questions and develop final questions for the interviews. Application due date is next Monday the 12th. So Scott had asked me to look through those questions again. It's been a while since I looked at them that were in that guide. Wanted me
It's a whole
to see if there was any other questions that that he thought we should include in there, so.
I didn't notice, how are your people skills?
Or.
Any update on inquiries or submissions?
There's been only one application returned back. I don't know, did she send that to you? Okay. I'll go back and check my email. I assume when she emailed it to me, Scott was aware of it, so I don't know whether she emailed it to Scott, but
You have my email?
yeah. I'll go ahead and forward that to you.
If we get, I guess when you two decide about how many you're gonna interview or whatever, if we only get 3, you probably interview all 3 or not? Unless somebody's submission of resume is awful.
I would say we should interview them all if we wanna get 3.
I mean, it kinda depends on how many we
Like I
get.
say, unless you get an application that just,
Yeah.
you don't feel is gonna fit at all, then there's no use wasting their time and your time there.
Right. All comes down to however many get turned in.
One thing that was in the guide that was talked about was, and I don't know whether you guys have any thoughts or not, but if you interview somebody that's from the eastern side of the state, you're gonna pay them mileage to come interview, or I think in there it suggested that maybe that's something you wanna consider, paying mileage to get them here to interview. Just something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess in a lot of cases, we don't, I mean, we don't have applicants that are more than easy driving distance.
Right.
This is kind of unique, but I guess,
If you asked them to come back for a second interview, you might wanna volunteer the mileage, but the first one,
I guess I'd kind of lean towards not for the first one.
Again, I think it was mentioned in that guide, and I don't
What do you
expect,
think, Dean?
I don't expect that we're gonna get anybody from East Coast or West Coast or someplace else.
Well, we talked about, you know, if they were out of state or something. you know.
Right, but, I mean, it was in the NACE newsletter that came out in December, but I don't know if that's generated any interest yet, but-
If we get, when you guys get the applications and say you do get somebody from out of state, you know, we've made it, I guess it's clear that they have to be Iowa DOT approved. And they're not, how do you,
I guess if they're not, I mean, if, I guess that's something that Nicole would have to answer, but to me, if it's a state that's, gotten common reciprocity with the professional engineer license, then I don't think there'd be an
then
issue
it's
there.
not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, and then she could, I mean, if that would happen, and that might be something you want her to review before you,
Well, that was the reason I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at your interview list, and you really, from my perspective, we need to know that they're licensed in Iowa
Right.
before, you know, that we would be interested. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I
yeah.
would prefer. And they would be able to look that up for us just with a phone call.
Yeah, should be able to give, I'm assuming give them a name and, I don't know what else she need to be, name and state maybe, and I would think she could check if they were registered in the other state, and then, she could check with the Iowa Engineering Board to see whether there's any issues with reciprocity with that state,
Okay.
so. Something else up. Judy has not sent out any more applicants. There's been 3 that have requested applications. Only 1 has come back. I did get a call from another county engineer yesterday that's expressed some interest and asked a bunch of questions. I talked to him for quite a while, and it's possible he'll put an application in, but that's a decision you'll have to make, I guess.
When's the deadline?
Next Monday. Next Monday, so. And I guess that's up to the board too, if for some reason somebody doesn't set one into the 14th, are you gonna not review it, I guess? You know, I guess.
Well, you can always extend that, but you need to make it official, you can't. If you say the 12th and one comes in on the 4th and you haven't extended the deadline, then you shouldn't by all rights take it, because somebody could send one in on the 14th of next month. And, you know,
Yeah.
so you kinda, if you're gonna do that, you really should at least make it official that you've extended
Publish
it
it or publicize it.
I guess I'm,
somehow, yeah.
Yeah.
if they, when they are contacted, or when Judy's contacted for their information, she needs to make it very clear, it needs to come back by the 12th, and maybe she does.
Yeah, I don't know what all she sends them.
Um, I mean, you have that calendar problem.
Yeah,
And yet, maybe they just saw it,
Well,
and that's the other
that's
piece.
the catch there too. I guess when we've got applications up for secondary roads people, if some come straggling in, I guess I look at them and, I guess you consider a little bit, you know, why they were late getting it in, like you say, whether they just saw it or whether,
You know, if it gets sent like the Friday before, it doesn't get there till Tuesday, you know, or something like that.
yeah, if they apply or request it late,
Yeah.
but
You know,
But
should know, you know,
with that, as far as when she has that discussion with the individual, she
yeah.
at that time should say that it needs to be back, and if they can't, they should then ask for.
I think so
Standard
far, I think every request she's gotten has been by email. So I think all the requests are coming in by email, but when she responds, I'll send her an email, say to respond, and make sure she responds back to say, you know, the deadline is the 12th.
Yeah. That'd be a good idea.
Otherwise,
I see the M54 light, the poles up and the arms on there, but I didn't see any light.
there was several calls made yesterday morning,
Okay.
wondering why the light wasn't on. I think Mitch got tired of the calls, because I happened to come through there Sunday night, and I slowed down and see how this light looked. And,
So
where's
that-
it at? And Mike drove out there Monday morning to look at it, because he knew it was up, and so Mitch got a call from me and Mike, and I'm not sure who else, but apparently by the time Mike called him, he said he was getting tired of calls. I think when they put the light up, something about they didn't set the voltage right on the light. There was something with the installation, so it didn't.
Real.
So,
But I looked specifically.
yeah, I did
Slowed
too.
down to look.
I did too.
Okay, the
In the
pole's
mo-
there, the
in-
arm's there.
In the
We
moonlight,
have no light.
in the moonlight, I could see the pole was there and the arm was out, but, so,
No contact back again as far as the other two options.
I did get, yesterday I did get, finally get the email from, the people in Storm Lake about a solar light. And, I tried to call, the one in Alta the other day and, left a message on their phone system and, nobody's called me back yet, so I gotta try to call them again.
At some point when we're meeting with Calhoun County Board, we should discuss that one on M28 to see
Yeah.
how.
They'll
I'm not-
share the.
I'm gonna try to
share
get,
the cost.
I'll try to get some information, the best I've got, you know, in the next week or so, and so you can, when you talk to him, you got,
Okay.
and I need to talk to Gary Colvin too, to see what, you know, he'd expressed some, had some questions about the light, so whether he'd be willing to, you know, put some money into it, I guess I'm not sure.
That's a
But,
lot of traffic on there.
so, anyway,
Thank you, Ron.
I'll try to get some information, so yeah, you can have some intelligent questions to ask about it, so.
Any other business? No.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.